is 4 generations strong as a trustworthy, family-owned business with unmatched customer service. Go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more info or call toll-free at 1-800-752-4574 today. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane.
Good afternoon, welcome back to Against the Boards. Your host Chamberlain Bauder here with you for another episode talking hockey and lacrosse in Western New York. Before we get into anything, yesterday was arguably the greatest hockey day ever. I've talked to multiple people about it now. That was the greatest day of hockey ever. We had 3 back-to-back overtime games. And then we even got to cap it off with the Amerks coming back to force an overtime, given it went to a shootout and they couldn't do anything about it in the shootout last night. But regardless, you saw Finland come back down 2-0, right? Then USA in OT later on in the day. Then that night you get the Amerks game. You start out thinking that maybe Canada's going to go and get knocked out by the Czech. I've never in my life, as a New York State hockey fan, wanted a Bruin to score so badly as I wanted Pasta to score in overtime to beat Canada. And meanwhile, I'm a person that in lacrosse roots for Canada in every situation, but that would have been sweet. Anyways, a great day of hockey all around. At the end of the day, slated the semifinals for the Olympics for men's hockey. USA, of course, now has a chance to medal. It was so crazy that you have 2 teams that are clearly 2 of the 4 best teams in the world playing against each other in a round that will cause one of the teams not to medal. We got to OT and I was just kind of looking over and I said, wait, how can the US not medal in hockey? Like, that would have been insane. I think Quinn Hughes thought the same thing. But yeah, awesome game. Let's talk about the Amerks game a little bit later that night. Charlotte Checkers, per coach, one of the best, most put together rosters in the AHL, just experience-wise with what they're able to have for depth. If you listen to his post-game press conference last night, he was really impressed overall with the resilience and the stick to it. Little disappointed in the shootout result, but at the end of the day, I think Leo's the kind of coach that he's more concerned with winning a game. And he's kind of like, if we have to take it to a shootout, then cool, we got the point. Like, we should have won it in overtime, or we should have won it at the end of regulation, which I completely get. I would still like to see the Amerks score in a shootout, though. That would make me a little bit happy. Overall, though, Lecision scores the first goal on the comeback. Constantini's was gorgeous. He gets the initial breakout pass to start heading up the ice. Big 4-man fast break going on, gets dished back into the slot. Constantini wide open, skies the thing right into the top netting. If that goal was one of those perpetual every pass you get just a little higher in your seat until you're jumping up to your feet, that was easily one of those goals. Unfortunately, couldn't find another one in the rest of the game, and the only other one the Checkers found was in the shootout, and they won that game. Overall, though, Amerks looked good in that game. I think that's the key thing to kind of take away from it, is on a Wednesday against one of the best teams in the AHL, the squad held their own and was ready to go in that game. The 2 goals that were scored on them were interesting. Both of them pretty much just having an extra guy down low where a defender could be, but if you're a hockey team that plays offensive-minded hockey on the D end, you're not going to have a D man there. That second one especially was just, I mean, Rathbone and Johnson were ready to start the break at the blue line, and for whatever reason, with the puck still in their own zone, the Checkers had a guy behind the goal, and it just popped out the right way, went right to him, and he was able to score the second goal because he was 1-on-none with Levi right there on the crease. The first one, however, a little tough. Metza got kind of a little spun around and then was behind his man as he crossed the crease and ended up taking it far post and beating Levi, but still similar in the sense of location on the ice, where it was in the play. Like, the play was initially over. It wasn't set offense that was coming from. It was, oh, we think we're getting the breakout. Oh, crap, no, we're not. And that's kind of what led to that first goal for the Checkers in that game. Overall, though, big third period breakaway chance. Devin Levi comes up with the glove save robbery, like full-on highway robbery. Completely, it was a game-saving save that I didn't see anybody really talk about too much, but if you watch that recap back, you'll see it. It's a massive glove save. It should have been the end of the game, and it wasn't ultimately because Devin Levi came up big in that clutch moment. So that's Amerks talk. Well, of course, they'll head into their weekend here and keep on playing through their season. I think when it really gets into that first kind of week of March is when we'll be looking at the seedings of how many games to clinch what position and everything like that. We will have a full breakdown for you when we get closer to that coming up. But right now in the dog days of February, it's still that whole just every game matters. At the end of the day, you keep pulling points when you can, and you're going to play Utica a bunch. You're going to play Syracuse a bunch. You're going to play Laval a bunch, Belleville. Like, those games are coming up, and or they've already happened. Like, they've finished their trip to Utica now, but still a little bit of time before I feel like we should be doing the hair pulling of game clinching or playoff clinching scenarios, how many games, where they need to win them, who they need to lose, things like that. But we will get into it as the season keeps on progressing. In terms of the Knighthawks, of course, it's a bye week this week, so nothing really coming out much for them. Ultimately, a tough spot right now, 4-5, completely halfway through the season. I think the one thing to kind of look at as a positive for the remainder of the season is the slightly negative stat of the fact that this team is not great off of a bye, and they've been coming off of a bye a lot so far this season. Saskatchewan will be the last time they come off of a bye all year. So we'll see what that kind of heralds with it. The other thing to note with the Saskatchewan game, just heads up, is obviously Hartley's already served his suspension. Biles played in the game against Ottawa because with the suspension coming the day before the game week last week, the PA automatically appealed every suspension. And in doing that, that meant Biles played, so he will have to serve his suspension against the Rush in 2 weeks. That's kind of all I've got to set everything up for you. Keep your eyes peeled for the website for a feature story coming out in the next couple of days from us. And in terms of lacrosse, have a nice weekend off. In terms of hockey, it is just ramping up. I cannot wait for February 22nd. And ultimately, the semifinal slate is sweet. I want a Finland-US gold medal game. That's what I want. That's my perfect scenario. We'll see if it happens, though. Big thanks to my producer, Paul Russo, for getting us up and running. And, of course, enjoy the rest of Against the Boards. I'll pass it off to Spencer.
Williams looking to distribute. Still has it from the right wing. He elects to shoot and scores. Zed Williams said, I'm going to take it.
The Rochester Knighthawks have lost now their fourth straight game in a row as they fell to the Ottawa Black Bears 10-8 in heartbreaking fashion on last Saturday night. Nighthawks offense was out of sync from the start on, and it really started Saturday morning when multiple guys were getting worked on with bad illnesses early on Saturday. I know specifically Ryan Smith was dealing with a sore throat and was working with the trainers to try to figure out if he was going to be able to play or not. Pairing that up with your franchise player not being able to be at the morning shoot-around in Connor Fields because he was on baby duty. His wife gave birth to a beautiful baby boy on Friday night, so he wasn't there Saturday morning and got to the arena at around 4 o'clock on Saturday for the first time. So before we get any further, congratulations to Connor and Laura Fields on their birth of their second son. Last week we talked about Zach Higgins and how I feel he is one of the most underrated goalies in the NLL, and he really proved that on Saturday. A 50 save outing and an 86.2 save percentage, only giving up 8 goals to this potent Nighthawks offense, really made it an easy day for that Black Bears defense. The Nighthawks defense themselves did a very good job holding number 51, pretty much the face of the National Lacrosse League at this point. Jeff T goalless for the first 3 quarters, but then in the fourth he took his game to the next level like we've seen him do his entire career. He had 2 goals for the Black Bears in the fourth quarter, and they both ended up being the difference in this one. Even though it was a crazy weekend for the reigning MVP Connor Fields, he still led the Nighthawks with 4 points in this one, 1 goal and 3 assists. Zed Williams had himself a night, putting 2 in the back of the net, along with an assist for 3 points. Graydon Hogg, who's been thrown into the starting lineup with the injury to Brad McCulley, who was in a cast on Saturday morning, so I'm not sure when he'll be back, but back to Graydon Hogg. 2 goals and 1 assist, just like Zed Williams, and he brought some juice to that left side, gave the Nighthawks that energy when Connor Fields was obviously not 100% with just not getting enough sleep with the birth of his son. Ottawa only held the lead in this one for the last 10 minutes and 7 seconds, and that's all they did for the entire game. Zach Higgins kept them in it the whole way, and it ended up stealing them a win in Rochester. Another point of emphasis in this one, the Ottawa Black Bears went 2 for 3 on their power play, obviously getting 2 power play goals, and on the other side, the Nighthawks went 0 for 2. No extra man goals for the Nighthawks, and that was a big moment in this one. Jeremy Thompson had an incredible day at the faceoff X, 15 for 22 in this one. He was dominant there, and he gave the Nighthawks a lot of extra possessions in that first half and third quarter. Next, we're going to go over the other Week 12 games in the NLL. We're going to start off on Friday night, the only Friday night game. The Colorado Mammoth went into Las Vegas and snuck out a 13-12 win against the Desert Dogs. Andrew Q had a very good game for Colorado. Saturday started out on the East Coast in Halifax. Buffalo going into the nest in Halifax and sneaking out an 11-10 victory over the Thunderbirds. Halifax has now dropped to 3-6 on the season. Going to be very interesting to see what they do now with some of those guys that could be on the move. San Diego gave a thumping to the Oshawa Firewolves, 13-7 final. San Diego had a massive lead early on in that first half. Oshawa has just been not good, to keep it kindly, these last few weeks. Next one, we had an overtime thriller in Saskatchewan as the Rush took down the Vancouver Warriors 9-8. Calgary defeated the Philadelphia Wings at home on Saturday night. 10-9 was the final. The Colorado Mammoth completed the weekend sweep of their back-to-back, defeating the Toronto Rock 16-8 in a dominant win for the Mammoth. And the Sunday game, Calgary was unable to do what Colorado did. They dropped the second half of their back-to-back in an 11-6 loss to the Georgia Swarm. Brett Dobson just being himself again. He has been unbelievable and is a leader in the MVP category at this point in the season. We only have 4 games in Week 13, so we're going to look at that now. First off, we got a rematch from last weekend. This time, Colorado heading east to take on the Rock in Hamilton. There was a couple of big hits, and I would say suspension-worthy hits by a couple of Rock players, so I will assume that they will be in the lineup this week with the way we saw the appeal process and what happened in the Ryland Hartley situation. I do expect Colorado to take care of business in Hamilton. Next up, Buffalo Bandits are heading to Vancouver to take on the Warriors. Earlier this season, we would have thought this game would be a playoff preview, but Buffalo has not been themselves. They snapped their 4-game losing streak a week ago, and Vancouver's coming off an overtime loss, so I expect them to come out and be hungry in this one. I think the Warriors will win this one. Saturday, Halifax is headed out to San Diego to take on the Seals. I expect San Diego to keep the momentum they've been churning these last few weeks. I expect them to get a win against Halifax. And if Halifax loses this one, they will be in free fall mode. Would not be surprised to see them move a couple of pieces if they lose this one. Fourth and final game is a Sunday matinee. Philadelphia is hosting Saskatchewan at 3 o'clock at Xfinity Mobile Arena. Saskatchewan has been the best team in the league so far, and they have 3 games in the next 2 weekends. Obviously in Philadelphia on Sunday, and then next Friday they'll be in Buffalo before heading east on the 90 to Rochester on Saturday. This is a good moment because this is officially the Knighthawks' final bye week of the season. They will be playing 9 games in the remaining 8 weeks of the NLL season, with a doubleheader the last week of the season against the Georgia Swarm. Next week, we will go over the game preview against the Saskatchewan Rush. Until then, this has been another episode of Against the Boards.
Fields looking, gives it behind the net, back out in front, and is it in? Graydon Hogg scored!